Social Perception 1, Psych 512, Week 2. The use of social networking sites is very popular, especially with adolescents. And while they have a negative aspect, they can be positive in bringing social well-being and self-esteem. The use of these sites is to build a relationship, receive feedback. Some of us use these feedback to improve their profile, while others can delete comments based on negative comments. Word of mouth communication can impact negatively on brands, especially when the commutator has a bad experience with a product. Well-placed ads by manufacturers can sometimes deter from the negative word of mouth. Self-esteem is how an individual views themselves personally or by getting feedback from others. Individual achievements or positive feedback can increase self-esteem. Adolescents can also use feedback to enhance their life, even their profile on networking sites. Most adolescents tend to keep friends that give positive feedback and help their self-esteem. Social networking sites are very popular with adolescents. On most social networking sites, you have two users. You have an active user, you have a passive user. The active users are the ones who join. Most of the time you have to give your name, you have to have a password, you have to build a profile. This will allow you to post comments, um, review comments by other people, share folders, share files. You have passive users. These users are the ones that just go ahead and browse your photos. They don't make any positive comments or contribution to it, but they're just there just to look to see what you're doing and pass that on to probably negative friends. Adults receiving feedback. This can be positive for them. Most of the time, feedbacks are actually positive. If there's any negative feedbacks, they can always delete those or delete the friends that they who posted those. Um, Most of the feedbacks with the positive comments would help them in editing their profile. Maybe they don't what they were dressing, maybe their jewelry. Word of mouth and how it can help positively or negatively on a brand. Most people use word of mouth based on the fact that they've had either a good experience or a bad experience with a product. or they've known someone who has had a bad experience. Most of the time, these are the senders, and sometimes they can make a good argument for what they're saying, and they can be very convincing. Sometimes they're the receivers, and based on a lifelong use of a product, they can be the better judge because the product actually works for them. And never mind the negative comments, they got what's called brand loyalty. Negative word of mouth can really hurt most companies, and if they don't react in time, they can lose market shares, or they can lose the space that they have on most grocery shelves to competing brands. Not necessarily because the competing brands were doing the negative campaign, but most of the time, most brand names, they don't listen to customers, they don't follow back up on feedback, and this is one way they can lose loyalty with their customers. Self-esteem is the positive and negative evaluation of ourselves. Some people can have high self-esteem because of the way they think, feel, or present themselves. Self-worth is not the only trait that can cause this, but the build up and down of success, failure, or other experience. Self-esteem described from childhood to decrease from childhood to adolescence, and then increase in adult, only to decrease in old age. Negative self-image can also cause low self-esteem, whereas the person doesn't go out, doesn't have any friends. Um, Most adolescents have higher self-esteem and gain approval from their peers or their friends. High self-esteem can improve sleep, health, also productivity, our outlook on life, our future, and the goals that we set for ourselves. Most people that have high self-esteem tend to succeed more in life, whereas those with low self-esteem do not foresee the future as being very well. The self. To hear one's name in a noisy environment is called the cocktail effect. This is where we can isolate that one voice that is calling out to us because we take so much pride in ourselves. The self is always trying to project that positive image. Self concept, what we believe about ourselves. We always make ourselves the center of our attraction. It's not necessarily us doing that, it's just the pride that the self has in itself. Self image overrated. When most people ask us about ourselves, we tend to project that bigger than life image of ourselves. Most of the time, the people looking in tend to know what the real story is, but the self tries to overcome everything else. Self schemas and ourselves, based on different dynamics and different personalities we have inside of us and how we react to each other. We have what's called schemas. Uh, Either we want to mimic someone else, or we just want to do what they're doing, or if something else affects us, that is where we isolate one of our schemas.